Here we are back at it again. Another night, another video. Welcome to the discussion. Welcome, y'all. If you're watching this on Facebook, give it a like, give it a follow. If not, that must mean you're on YouTube. So, again, give it a like, but hit that subscribe button this time. And without further ado, I want to pose a question to you guys. You remember growing up, or if you're young, when you're preparing for something big and you're studying, whether it may be in school, whether it may be to get a license, a certification, whether it may be for a promotion, for anything like that, even if it's just studying to speak in front of a crowd, right? Often we go through life and we go through certain trials and tribulations where it's not necessarily a grade, but you can tell in life like this is a test, right? And when you're striving for things and you're going for things that are much greater than you've accomplished before, I could go out on a whim and say it's a dream. You will be tested. So today, I just want to talk about, how your dreams will be tested because they will be, right? They say if your dream doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. I know that's the cliche saying, but um, when I think about that, I have to be honest and say, like, I agree, and I've experienced that in my life to the point where it keeps me up all night. Right? You're studying, you're looking at different things, getting creative, getting the different creative juices flowing. You're letting the ideas come and go, and you just in your own head, but you grinding at the same time because you have this dream and you want to see it come to fruition so bad, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. To everybody out there, just keep dreaming, right? It's gonna happen for us. Here, I want to come and say how your dreams will be tested, right? So once you make your dreams clear, you will be tested, right? Life's all about tests, and life wants to see how bad you want it. That's my biggest thing. Like when I think people are not serious and I think people not going for the things they want in life as serious as they should, there's always my question, like how bad you want it. I hit it a lot of time in my profession as well when we're doing different train ups and studying for different things and you're trying to progress in your career, right? A lot of people want to see how bad you want it. So it's a thing on that road, on that journey, on that path, right? And what we have to do is not let the doubters deter us because that will happen, right? A lot of people, when you obsess over something that you want so badly and that you've envisioned your whole life, a lot of people gonna doubt it. A lot of people gonna think you're crazy. A lot of people gonna tell you no. A lot of people gonna tell you, hey, like just stop, cut your losses. Whatever you're doing is not working. Scratch that, start over, or move on to something else. You can't let the doubters deter you, right? So I got a little bit of notes that I had wrote down, man. Just some things I was thinking about. I do a little bit of reading. I got a bunch of different books on my bookshelf, and a lot of it talks about leadership because I'm very big on that. And I'm gonna just give you a quick reason why. I remember in high school, I had like an identity crisis, right? I was conflicted because I was hanging with a certain group of guys that I had known my whole life, and they ventured off into some different things. And these dudes had become those guys, like the guys to not really the guys to not mess with, right? I'm just gonna say it like that. The guys not to be messed with, but at the same time, these guys were very well respected, right? These guys were very admired. They were very looked up to, very influential to a lot of people because of talents that they had, because of their sociability, if that's a word, because of multiple different characteristic traits that they had that a lot of people identify with or that they wanted to have, and that was just the admiration they had for these people, right? So I'm gonna take a little bit about from what I gathered from a bunch of different authors and speakers, right? So many motivational speakers, spiritual leaders, and authors agree that significant dream faces a period of testing before it becomes a reality. These tests are not meant to destroy the dreamer, but to develop the character, faith, and perseverance needed to sustain success. Now, the first author I have is somebody amazing. If you don't read his books, you need to go get all of them and check them out because I've read majority of them, right? And it's John C. Maxwell, and he calls this is basically like the dream test, right? So within that, basically what it explains is John Maxwell teaches that dreams are always tested by challenges that reveals one's true commitment. He identifies obstacles like discouragement, delays, detours, and doubt as essential phases that shape a person's vision. According to John C. Maxwell, these tests refine both the dream and the dreamer, separating fleeting wishes from deeply rooted purpose. A lot of times when you read his books, that's what you'll get. He goes through multiple experiences that he had, and he talks about different stories that he recalls about situations he's been in his career path and also throughout his motivational speaking life. And it implies, well, it it gives you a lot of gems that you can apply to your life about leadership, right? And how your dreams will be tested, but how to overcome them and stick it out. Okay. So the second we have is Rick Warren, and this is a purpose driven life, right? So pastor and author Rick Warren emphasizes that God uses tests to prepare people for their destiny. Before any dream is fulfilled, it must be stretched by delayed promises, impossible problems, and painful circumstances. You got to go through some trials and tribulations to get to where you want to be. That's just how it is. These experiences cultivate trust, patience, and obedience. Warren calls these life tests, showing that dreams align with divine timing, not human impatience. And for all my religious people out there, like you've heard it a bunch. Like I said, I grew up Baptist, so I've heard this a bunch. It won't happen on your timing, it'll happen on God's timing. And I really wasn't trying to hear that majority of my life. But also I had a great talk with my brother BJ, and I was just sharing some experiences with him that I had, in my prior life. And I was just saying, like, man, I used to always want these things and I wanted it in a certain timeline. But then I got to a certain age where I seen so many people had it at the age that I wanted. And now that we're at the age we're at now, they don't have it any longer. And my biggest prayer and manifestation was like, God, whoever up there, whatever's watching over me, I don't want something before I'm ready. Right. Because I know myself now. I'm very self-aware. And my biggest thing is I'd rather go through the hard times. I'd rather go through the trials and tribulations. I'd rather, face all of the different obstacles and barriers in my life and build up that character so that when I do get all the things that I'm manifesting and that I pray for, that I'm finally able to handle them. Right. That's my biggest thing in life. I don't want something before I'm ready for it because I don't want to lose it. That to me is bigger than anything I could ever dream of. The timing has to be in alignment, right? We got a very popular one. A lot of people know Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich. I'm sure it's millions of people who've read this and identify with this. But Hill observed that every adversity carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. He argued they quit before success because they mistake temporary defeat for failure. The universe, he suggests, tests one persistence, right? It's gonna always, and over time, dripping water wears down a rock, right? So persistence overcomes resistance. But the universe tests that to prove whether the desire for success is strong enough to overcome setbacks and doubt. Okay. That's a big one. And if you read Think and Grow With, you understand that it's a phenomenal book and you understand all these things. Now, another motivational, well, not another, but a great motivational speaker that a lot of people are familiar with is Les Brown. But Les Brown frequently reminds his audience that life will test you to see if you deserve your dream. And I love that. Like for me, I love these tests, right? Because even if not the first go round I pass, I'm gonna retest and I'm gonna restudy, and eventually I'm gonna pass in great timing. But he insists that hardships, rejection, and fear are part of the journey. Les Brown teaches that these trials reveal resilience and build self-belief, pushing individuals beyond their comfort zone into growth and greatness. And that's something that we all need. We all need to be pushed past our comfort zone. And for me, like I always talk about in the physical form, that's running. In the mental form, that's always like me restricting myself from certain things, not putting myself in certain environments. And in the spiritual form, that's me overcoming my anger, right? Overcoming my own having more humility, I would say, because sometimes I can get overconfident and it can come off as cocky, it can come off as conceited, right? But it's just me having a great deal of self-belief. But I understand how that can be perceived and how it can come off to others as negative, right? Across these different voices, the speakers, the authors, the pastors, one truth emerges. And that is that your dreams will be tested to prove your readiness for them, right? Tests come through delay, disappointment, doubt, or difficulty, but they serve a purpose to strengthen your vision, to deepen your faith, and to prepare you for the weight of the success, as I was talking about earlier. So, passing these tests require persistence, belief, and patience. But in the end, those who endure find that the testing of their dreams becomes the making of their destiny. And um when you look at all these different authors and you take all these different experiences and you put them into one, that's my biggest thing, right? Because again, like the book says, the race is not given to the swiftest and the strongest, but to the ones who endure to the end. And that's been my thing. Like I can always say, and shout out to PBD and his podcast, because I've heard him say this as well. Like, you got to out strategize, you got to outperform, and you have to outlast the competition. And not that I'm competing with anybody other than myself and who I was yesterday. My biggest thing is it's gonna be hard to outlast me. Yeah, you might get me in the start. You might be faster starting out than me. You might get a lot of things before me, right? And that's not me, like I say, comparing or competing against anybody. That's just me saying, like, I want to see you guys worry about the longevity of things, because that's my thing. It's hard to outlast me. My endurance is so high. I believe that as I continuously grow, as I continuously develop, and I get smarter and I get more skillful and I get better just at the things in my personal life, and me as a man in manhood and parenthood and all of these different things, um, as a spouse, I feel like as I continuously improve, I will outlast anything that any obstacle that comes in my life, right? No matter how long that storm is, I can weather it because I know what I'm built of, right? And I love that for me, and I love that for people like me or people of similar mentalities, because I've seen a lot of people who are in this with me, and they share that same mentality, right? They share those same or the similar thoughts. I love that. That's the biggest thing that I practice on right now in life. The biggest thing that I practice on, it's is not strength, right? It's not me studying, it's not me getting another degree or me getting more certifications. My biggest thing is endurance. Even though I'm running at a pace, a moderate pace right now, I can always pick up that pace or I can always slow it down. I'd rather not slow it down until it's my time or until I have to. So my biggest thing is endurance. The same thing I've been doing since 14, I'm still doing at 32. The same veracity that I had when it came to being a scholar and studying different subjects and being open to new ideas, being open to new people, their cultures, their customs, their traditions. The same way I was open to it as a young man, as I grow older into a more mature man, I've continuously kept that. And for me, that's a beautiful thing because I'm worried about that. Not necessarily the end of the race, but how long I can endure during this journey. That's my biggest thing. I wanna I wanna have that within myself to where people can look 20, 30 years from now and say, like you said that, and he's doing it, right? He manifested this a long time ago, and now it's coming to fruition. Now it's happening, right? All of these things that I prayed for, all of these things that I envisioned for myself and for others and for people in my circle, these things are happening. They're coming true, even if I'm not a part of it. So again, like that's all I had today, man. Some short and sweet, but I wanted to tell you people, man, because I know a lot of people who have big dreams, and I know a lot of people who are dreamers, much like myself. And I'm here to tell you today, your dreams will be tested, but it's how you respond or how you react to the situations and the circumstances that occur in your life that's gonna separate you from the bunch. And we always want to keep that competitive advantage, no matter what it's in our life. And I have nothing more for y'all. So with that being said, I'm out.